Hi everyone, I am Heather, and I want to welcome you to Magnificent Authors Podcast, brought to you by Magnificent Mamas. This is the show where we'll celebrate the magic of storytelling and the power of words. I'm your host, Heather, and each week I'll be sitting down with incredible authors from all walks of life to explore their creative journeys, uncover their writing secrets, and delve into worlds they create. Whether you are an aspiring writer, a passionate reader, or simply curious about the minds behind your favorite books, this is the podcast for you. So grab a cozy blanket, pour yourself a cup of tea, and get ready to be inspired by the magnificent authors who join us. Let's dive in. Hi everyone, I am Heather with Magnificent Mamas and Magnificent Authors Podcast. We're joined here today with author Maggie Jamerson. Did I say that right?
Yes.
Maggie, do you want to introduce yourself and tell a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I'm Maggie Jamerson. I am the author of Only Oliver. I originally was a classroom teacher for 16 years. And then I started a tutoring business called Remarkable Readers in June of 2021. So my book was released this year in July, and it has a lot of reading and phonics and even some of the emotions that go along with that. So I'm very passionate about teaching others, and I needed to get that passion out. So I thought, hey, let's write a book, and more people can see how teaching reading can be fun, and there is a certain way that it must be taught for it to be reached, to reach everyone.
I think, in regards to that, I think there's a hard part with some students that are dyslexic or special needs, but not to the point where they're in special needs classes, where reading can be super challenging. So yes. I think books that, that delve more into, the phonics and stuff like that would probably be very helpful.
That is what I am hoping for. That is the goal. With Remarkable Readers, we have been able to reach over 350 kids. Some of those kids are dyslexic. Some of them have autism. Some of them are special needs. And teaching them how to read in a structured literacy format, they learn how to read. Now, it is slower than what your typical child or beginning reader might do, but they will learn.
That's awesome. That is very cool. I know I homeschool my daughter, and when she was in public school, reading is still her weak area, and she's 16. And they didn't take the time to work with her. They straight up said they didn't have time to work with her. And it's really sad. And they get let down.
Right. Their confidence is very low. And they begin to have these thoughts of, I can't do it. I'm not smart enough. And so early intervention is the best, but it can also be changed even if they are older. I have worked with a lot of homeschool families. I'm very encouraged by them and their passion, and they have questions and they want to do it right. Or the first three were great and super easy, and number 4 comes along and has thrown a wrench in the, in the system. And it's like, my other 3 did great. What is going on with this one? And I have been honored to help those families. And one of the things that I have been able to learn and express to others is that you can rewire your brain. And once you realize that you are in control of your brain and what you learn and how you learn it, your self-esteem improves, because we can show you strategies that will help you. And like you said, taking the time. We will take the time to do that, because we're not doing state testing. And that's not our goal. With Remarkable Readers, we actually guarantee the child will improve 4 to 6 months in reading or math in just 8 weeks. And 92% of our children have done it within 8 weeks. About 8% of our kids have needed additional sessions, like 2 or 3 sessions, to reach that goal. But 100% of our students have reached at least 4 to 6 months.
That's really good. That's awesome. I think they need more programs, dedicated to help readers, whether they're younger or, teenagers.
Right. Yes, I just helped my first adult this summer.
That's awesome. That is very good. And it's nice that you don't just do, elementary school. You help all different ages.
Right. So, like I said, the early intervention is what research is coming out and showing. So, we started a pre-readers class 2 years ago, and it's for 3, 4, and 5-year-olds before they go to kindergarten. And it is a 45-minute class done once or twice a week, depending on the schedule. And it's also done for 8 weeks. And there's not a guarantee with that age group because they are so little. However, they do love literacy, and they want to read more, and they want to look at books, and they want to sing songs, and they want to know their letters. And the parents have been very supportive of that class too. So that was something that came out of starting the tutoring business. I was like, okay, so these kids, if we can catch them even earlier, we can see those speech issues or dyslexia signs. We can run screeners. We are all licensed teachers. That's another thing that's different about our group, is all of our tutors are licensed teachers and have been in the classroom or are still in the classroom and tutoring on the side with Remarkable Readers.
You mentioned the speech part, and it just reminded me of when my daughter was, learning to talk, 2 or 3 years old, but, still. And her speech was so bad, like trash can was flour.
Okay.
Like, that's what it sounded like.
Yes.
And it was, now her speech is normal, but you made me think of that. And it's just one of those little issues.
Yes. And another thing is speech, the children with speech problems have increased dramatically since COVID because of masks. And what the scientists are saying is language is developed in the very early stages of infants. And if an infant cannot see your mouth, then their language development will be slower. Well, not only could infants not see it, but then toddlers who are using words. And then I'm in a classroom at that time teaching first grade, and I'm supposed to teach phonics with a mask on. And so, I mean, it is mind blowing to think back at how we all survived different ways for
Oh yeah,
2020 and
definitely.
2021. But these children are now who were born in 2020 are either starting school or in preschool, and the influx of speech therapists and the need for speech has dramatically increased. And that was one of the parts that I put in my book with Only Oliver is the teacher says, look at my mouth, because the shape of your mouth determines the sound. And it
Yeah,
is so very important to catch those things early.
that's very true. So, do you have any other things that led you to writing your book? I mean, obviously you're a teacher and very passionate about literacy. Was there anything else? Like, did you used to want to be a writer when you got older?
I think I I think well, I remember this thought. I remember thinking I'm not smart enough to be a writer. I don't have fancy words. My ideas are simple. And that was when I was probably a teenager, writing in my journal or doing those English comp things. And
Mhm.
later, I realized that I actually do have a strength in making things simple, and that I'm able to use to teach. So I can break down big concepts and get it across to people in a simple way. But it
Mhm.
has taken me a while to gain that confidence myself.
Yeah, I understand that completely, for sure. What would you say the hardest part of that was?
The hardest part of writing this book or overcoming that self confidence?
The self-confidence. I know we're supposed to be talking about the book, but we'll get there here
That's
in a minute.
okay. That's okay. Yes. So the self confidence, I think, I know, came gradually. I
Mhm.
needed to be told from other people and people that I respected that I was good at something. So, teacher evaluations, all teachers know about those fun days. And I always received very high marks on classroom management and classroom culture. And then I would get then parents and administration would say things to me about, oh, I haven't thought of it that way, or my child's confidence has improved so much by being in your class, or she hated reading. I can't believe you got her to read. And so those things were, I guess, going into my love bank or self consciousness, as in, you can do this. And there is a I don't, sad part of education and teaching
Yeah.
where you feel very defeated. And to hear those bright moments, I really wanted to develop something that would help children outside of the four walls of my classroom.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think it's just such a struggle for some people.
Right.
And, the lack of confidence doesn't help anybody. And
No.
I used to be a CNA. I mean, technically I still am, but I don't work as a CNA now. And when you talk about those bright moments, I know moments like that that just keep you going over and over again because, you'll end up with another bright moment and it just means the world to you.
Yes, yes. And it's not it's not anything physical. It's what someone says to you or says about your students or a parent that says, hey, when she comes home, she plays school and she does all of you.
That's funny.
And so I'm like, oh, so she's really loud and bossy. And, but again, those are great traits for a leader and a teacher. So maybe she was on the path of becoming a leader and a teacher.
That's awesome. And it's kind of funny you mentioned that because me and my cousin used to play school. We had all sorts of stuff. And I just kind of thought about it when we were older and I was like, nobody else played school. And then you just mentioned that.
Oh, yes.
That was so funny.
Yes, I am thrilled that kids still play school. And if your child doesn't play school, sit down and play school with them. Get them off a screen and play school. They can do it. You can do it. Everybody knows what school is. So play school.
That's awesome. So do you want to go ahead and tell us a little bit about your books?
Sure.
Or books?
Yeah. So I definitely want to start a series, which is why I used Remarkable Readers as my series title. And then the book title is Only Oliver. And there are 44 sounds in phonics. Yes. And people keep asking, are you going to do a book for all of them? And I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to write 44 books, but
hey, you never know.
I know, you never know. And I am working on my second book. It's, I think, one book at a time, I think is the steps that I'm going to take. But
you don't want to do 12 at a time.
I know. So I think like when you become a self-published author, you are doing a lot of marketing and promoting, and that takes a lot of time. And so to have that creative brain for a little while to be able to write, or to have the slowdown in your schedule to be able to write, gets a little trickier when when your book comes out and you want to share your book with everybody. So like I said, my book came out in July, and it has been amazing to go and read at different story times, at public libraries, at different businesses that are now hosting story times. And, social media gets a bad rap, but for a self-published author, I am very grateful for social media right now.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. I couldn't imagine an author not using social media to promote their books, especially, an indie author or a self-published author.
Right. Because it is a great path, channel, avenue to use where you can reach a lot of people. And like I said earlier, COVID, we all learned so much, and there have been some good things that have come out of it. And one of those is podcast and Zoom meetings. I met my illustrator who lives in Italy
Oh,
over
wow.
Zoom. And so that is one of the fun facts that I get to share with students when I go for author visits is, do you think I drew these pictures? No.
That's
And
awesome.
her name is Natasha, and she did an outstanding job. So I hope to use her again and again. But even finding an illustrator, was something that I was like, oh, wow. Yes, I'm not drawing these pictures. I'm writing words. And I have the details, like I knew I wanted Oliver to be African American. I knew I wanted Olivia to be of Asian descent. And I wanted a very diverse student body in the classroom. So there is a student that is wearing an earpiece. There is a student that has a skin, disorder. And I wanted a child to see themselves in this student body. And I want to increase that and do it again and again in another book, So I hope to write more. And this one specifically talks about short O and the vowel short O and how to blend sounds, which has not been discussed in public schools over the last 20 years. And COVID brought that to the forefront, and Sold a Story brought that out, and Science of Reading brought that out. And now those skills and what I did in the classroom, Play-Doh, stations, stand up, we weren't sitting. And phonics can be very boring, but it was not boring in my class.
That's awesome. I was going to say too, real quick, that I was talking to another author this past week who incorporated into their book, disabilities, stuff like that. And I love that you've done the disabilities as well as the descents from all over. I feel like it's not seen enough. And I love it when I see, how you did the Asian descent, African American. I just think that's awesome.
Thank you. Yes, I have taught in a variety of schools. I have taught in a Title I school. I have taught in a suburban, area. I have taught in a private school. And I know how important it is that a child see themselves in a book that they are reading. And I was able to put that in the art notes over to the side. So even as the author, I'm able to say, I want pendants up in my classroom, and I want the teacher's name to be Miss Green, and I want her wearing a green outfit, because most kids know color words, or they need to know color words.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So I
That's
wanted
awesome
to bring that connection, and being an author, I could put that in the author, or being the author, I could put that in the art notes, so the illustrator knew what to do.
how
And
you pictured them.
yeah, and she was amazing. She would send me like 2 or 3 options. And when I would open my email or my computer, there was one day I gasped, and my sister was like, "What?" And I turned to my computer and I went, "I love him. Look at Oliver. This is him. I love him. This is exactly what I was thinking."
That's awesome. That's wonderful. And it's wonderful that you found an illustrator that's what your desire, the way you picture them.
Yes.
Could we
Yes.
see some pictures?
Yes, absolutely. So here is the cover.
Aw, I
And
like that.
then, let's see, here we have Miss Green.
Nice.
And so, as you can see, she is drawing or writing. And we would do this in my classroom. Get your magic pencil out. We're going to write high in the sky, and we would write the letter that we were learning the sound for. And a lot of people don't know that you're actually supposed to write counterclockwise. And that has been fascinating to show people that there is a certain way to write that your brain will pick it up and remember it easier if you do it a certain way. So, handwriting also left the classroom and hasn't been in public schools for many years because it was considered a waste of time. And now research is coming back saying that you have to have the handwriting with the letter, with the sound, because if you leave one of those out, it's going to be harder for you to remember the letter. And I'm so glad that the research is coming back. It's almost like the research is coming to support those teachers who knew all along what we were supposed to be doing. And they would do it and add in the new stuff that everybody kept saying, oh, but you got to do this, you got to do this. And they would do the new stuff too, but they still threw in
The old stuff.
Yeah. They were able to meld it together. One of the other things that I did with this book was I actually have the very first page of how to read this book, which is funny, especially when I'm doing it and I have parents in the story time, and I'm like, okay, parents, I have a page for you. This is how we're going to read it. And I put the letters within the slant marks to show that that was the sound you were supposed to make. So it has where you make the phonics sound, and it also has arrows on blending it and going to that next letter. And it says that just because your child is talking does not mean that your child can blend. Blending is a specific skill that must be taught, and it's got to be practiced over and over again. And you can see the light bulbs going off in people's heads, as in, oh, I just thought they would just do that, or I didn't know I needed to practice that with them. So that has been a good thing that came from this book as well, is teaching parents or letting them know that that is not a inherited skill. That is a learned skill, and it must be taught. So don't skip it.
That's awesome. What do you hope that the children take away from the book? I mean, besides learning the, like you said, the O.
Yeah.
What is there anything else you hope they take away?
Well, so Oliver himself, he is very sad at the beginning of the book because he doesn't know how to read, and it's the first day of school. So in an adult's mind, we're going, of course you don't know how to read. It's the first day of school. Yeah. But I think our generations that are coming up behind us are not wanting to try things because they feel like they already are supposed to know how to do it. So even though I haven't taught you how to read, you already feel this pressure, and I don't know where it came from, but you feel this pressure of, I should already know how to read. And that is how Oliver starts his first day of school. So he's very shy. He doesn't want to sound out the words. He's nervous about reading, and he meets a friend and thinks, oh, well, she knows how to read. And then there's a kid raising his hand and he already knows how to read. And I saw that in the classroom firsthand in many different grade levels, where children come in and think they're already supposed to know. They're already supposed to be able to make 100 on the math test and the reading test. There is this pressure that we have somehow put on these children with already knowing, and we've skipped the trial and error part.
Yeah.
So at the end of the book, where he begins to sound out and participate and write his own words, his confidence gets stronger and stronger. And then his friend is upset. And he's like, Olivia, what's wrong? And Olivia says she doesn't know how to read. So then Oliver is like, but I thought I was the only one that didn't know. And I think our children feel that way on a lot of different things, that they are the only one who can't do, or the only one who doesn't know. So then Oliver is able to show Olivia how to blend those letters, and she reads her words. So the confidence in Oliver improves. His assumptions are made clear, as in everybody has to learn how to read, and everybody has to go through trial and error and doing it wrong to be able to do it right. And for us as adults to encourage kids to do things and fail, but praise them for it and encourage them, that really builds their confidence.
Yeah, definitely.
So besides reading and learning the short O, I want them to see they are not the only one in any situation.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's true. I mean, there's going to be in every situation somebody you can relate to that's having the same issues.
Right. And it might not come out at the very beginning when you meet them. It might be later. Or, you might find out a different way that this person struggles with X. And I think developing that empathy in children is so very important. More important than learning the letter O. But if you learn the letter O, that's good too.
Yes, that's awesome. I do have to wrap up because I have another podcast in about 5 minutes.
Okay.
On the day that the podcast airs, which I'm pretty sure is January 6th, we will feature your book and share your book so that everyone can check it out, and hopefully somebody buys it and learns their O's and
that's right,
gets the message in the book.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me, Heather. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And that's a wrap on another episode of Magnificent Authors Podcast. Thank you so much for joining me today. It was a pleasure to share another inspiring conversation with a talented author. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe to Magnificent Authors Podcast so you don't miss any of our upcoming conversations with amazing writers. And be sure to check out Magnificent Mamas on our website, which is www.magnificentmamas.us, or on our Facebook page for more inspiring content from incredible authors. I'd love to hear your thoughts on today's episode. What resonated with you the most? Head over to Facebook or leave a comment on our website and let me know. Until next time, keep reading, keep writing, and keep those imaginations soaring.